It really is great to be here, and I want to sincerely thank AAM for the opportunity. It's been a few years since I've spoken at this conference, and I really do cherish it. To be among the experts in the room is a neat experience, and I stand before you with the privilege of giving the talk, but I fully recognize that all of us have collective expertise, and for that I'm very grateful, because as I age, I'm going to rely on all of you to be there for me in my time of need. So it really is great to be here. Thank you also for coming. There are a lot of neat talks today, and I am grateful that you chose to come here. So without any further ado, I am going to talk about an area of interest of mine. This has developed over the last few years. The obesity epidemic has been revving up in the United States and across the world, in certain areas of the world. And so for the next half an hour, I hope to engage you in a dialogue about it. The obligatory disclosures slide, I have no financial disclosures, and there will be no off-label uses discussed. So before you leave, I want to engage you by asking you if you really think that the obesity epidemic is going to affect us as emergency providers. And if you don't believe that that's the case now, I hope to convince you of it before you leave. Before we get into the heart of the talk, we need to kind of handle a few definitions. BMI, the body mass index, is something that all of the papers refer to. And it's essentially your weight in kilos over your height in meters squared. And for those of you who are mathematically challenged like I am, there are these cool little charts that allow you to plot your height versus your weight. And you can kind of come through and find out that it's humbling that your BMI is 22, or that last month before you started your exercise program it was 23, or something like that. So this is how the obesity literature is kind of gauged based on BMI, and a BMI greater than 30 is obesity. Okay, that's important. Let's look at some of the statistics. These data are from the CDC website. 1990. There was not a single state in the United States that participated that had a prevalence of obesity, BMI greater than 30, greater than 15%. So none greater than 15%. 99, about a decade later, 18 states, 18, had a prevalence of obesity greater than 20%. Nearly 10 years later, 2008, 32 states in the United States, 32, had an obesity prevalence greater than 25%. It's really taking on in the US and in some other countries. If you think that because you take care of kids, this is not the case in the pediatric realm, that's not true. Different set of data, but the story is the same: escalating prevalence of obesity. So, will the obesity epidemic affect us? Definitely. You probably feel that in your emergency departments. I certainly do, practicing in the middle of the Midwest. So, the objectives of the talk: one, I hope that at the end of the talk you'll feel like you recognize that this is relevant to us as emergency providers, if you don't already. Two, that you'll be able to identify anti-fat bias in healthcare, and that you'll be able to protect our patients from it. That you'll be able to detect the nutritional complications of bariatric surgery in our patients. And then finally, because I love art history and I tend to intersperse art in my lectures, I hope that you'll be able to recognize and appreciate the fine art of Jasper Johns. So let's start with a case. This is a 44-year-old diabetic male who came in with the chief complaint of abdominal wall pain and redness. You notice as you approach the room that there's some hallway chatter and giggling outside of the patient's room, and there's some discussion about the horrific odor. So privately, I ask you to consider in your own mind what reactions you have to caring for morbidly obese patients. Let's consider another case. This is a 43-year-old woman, had gastric bypass surgery previously. She's got stigmata of weight loss and comes in with tingles.